everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Tombstone Tourist. This week I'm still at the Williamson Memorial Gardens in Franklin, Tennessee. In previous videos from here, I visited the grave of Grand Ole Opry announcer Grant Turner and Opry star Skeeter Davis. I'm going to begin today's video here in the Garden of the Good Shepherd. Here we find the final resting place of a longtime member of the Cathedral's Gospel Quartet, Glen Payne. Glen Weldon Payne was born on a cotton farm in Rockwall County, Texas on October 20th, 1926. He grew up working on the family farm during the Great Depression, where he developed a love for gospel music. By age 17, Glen was regarded as a talented singer and joined the Stamps Baxter Quartet. And over the next few years, he also sang with the Stamps All-Stars and the Stamps Ozark Quartet. In 1956, Glen joined the Weatherford Quartet, where he met his longtime friend, George Yonts. Then in 1963, Glen, Bobby Clark, and Danny Coker formed the Cathedral Trio. And when George Yonts was added as the bass singer, the trio became the Cathedral Quartet. The Cathedrals became one of the most popular groups in gospel music. Over the next 36 years, the group won numerous awards and were a constant on the Southern gospel charts. While the Cathedrals had a number of people sing baritone and tenor, over the years, Glen Payne and George Yonts were the only lead and bass singers the group ever had. During the 1970s, the Cathedrals were regular on TV, appearing on the Gospel Singing Jubilee and several Billy Graham crusades. They were also a regular on many of the very popular Bill Gaither homecoming videos. In 1999, during the Cathedral's farewell tour, Glen was diagnosed with cancer. Even though he was unable to attend the National Quartet Convention in person, he joined George Yonts by telephone. George requested that Glen sing a hymn, "I Won't Have to Cross Jordan Alone." Glen did. That was his final performance. Glen Payne passed away on October 15th, 1999. Just 5 days shy of his 73rd birthday. Next, I'm going to stay here in the Garden of the Good Shepherd, and I'm going to walk just a short distance over to the shepherd's statue, where, just in front of the statue, I find the graves of husband and wife duo Carl Smith and Goldie Hill. Carl Smith was born on March 15, 1927 in Maynardsville, Tennessee, which also happens to be the birthplace of the king of country music, Roy Acuff. As a teen, he listened to Roy Acuff and the other performers on the Grand Ole Opry and began selling farm seed to pay for guitar lessons, dreaming one day of performing on the Opry stage himself. By the time Carl was 17, he was performing on WROL radio in Knoxville, Tennessee. Upon graduating from high school, he put his musical ambitions on hold and served in the United States Navy from 1944 until 1947. After completing his military service, Carl returned to WROL. While in Knoxville, a friend of his made a recording of Carl and sent it to WSM in Nashville. In Nashville, he soon signed a recording contract with Columbia Records, and in March of 1950, the solemn old judge, George D. Hay, invited him to join the Grand Ole Opry. In 1951, Carl had a string of hits including Let's Live a Little and If Teardrops Were Pennies. Carl was now one of the best honky-tonk singers in the business. In fact, he was so popular that people started calling him Mr. Country. In 1952, Carl married June Carter, who was the daughter of Mother Maybelle Carter, one of country music's pioneering families. Carl and June had a daughter named Rebecca Carleen Smith, who grew up to become a country singer herself. She's known today as Carleen Carter. Carl's star continued to rise, and over the next few years, he racked up 30 top 10 hits, including You Are the One, Loose Talk, and perhaps his best-known hit, Hey Joe. In 1956, Carl and June divorced, and Carl soon left the Opry. He joined the Philip Morris Country Music Show, which was in direct competition with the Opry. And while touring with the Philip Morris Show, he met country music performer Goldie Hill, who had recorded a hit song in 1952, I Let the Stars Get in My Eyes. Goldie was born in Texas on January the 11th, 1933, and got her start in country music by performing with her sister Tammy on the Louisiana Hayride. After recording I Let the Stars Get in My Eyes, Goldie began touring with Ernest and Justin Tubb. It was then she met Carl Smith. The two hit it off and were married in 1957. Soon after their marriage, Goldie retired from performing, choosing to stay home and raise her 3 children. Carl continued to record and perform throughout the 1960s, and he recorded another hit song called Deep Water. In the early 1970s, Carl cut back on his country music performances and eventually quit performing altogether to pursue his interest in real estate and raising cutting horses on his farm near Franklin, Tennessee. For the better part of 20 years, Carl and Goldie had little or no involvement at all in the country music industry. Then, in 2003, the couple briefly returned to the spotlight when Carl Smith was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Carl Smith and Goldie Hill were married for 47 years, living happily on their farm near Franklin, Tennessee. Goldie passed away at the age of 72 from the complications of cancer on February 24, 2005. Carl lived another 5 years before passing away at the age of 82 on January 16, 2010. This is where I'm going to end this video, but I still have more to come from here to Williamson Memorial Gardens, so if you want to know when I post new videos, be sure to ring that bell and subscribe. While you're at it, I always appreciate a thumbs up. If you have a favorite memory of Glen Payne, Carl Smith, Goldie Hill, or any of the people that we visit in these videos, be sure to leave me a comment. Now, until next time, remember, life is a wonderful journey. Be sure to take time and enjoy it. And I'll see you down the road. So long, everyone.